Hey guys, so nice that you're all here. We're Studio PMS. I'm Susan from Studio PMS, and I'm responsible for the textile design most of the times. And I'm gonna lead you to the first part of this presentation.
So hi there, my name is Merle. I'm also part of Studio PMS, and I'm most of the time responsible for the technical parts of what we're doing.
Well, hi there again. My name is Puck. I'm the third one from Studio PMS, and I'm responsible for concept strategy and research. We're so glad that you guys were able to make it. We're a bit late due to technical problems from our side. But yeah, Susan is gonna go through a presentation. So Susan, take it away.
Thank you guys. So I'm actually gonna tell you something about our collective and how we started, and what kind of projects we do at the moment. I'm just wondering, can Puck and Merle tell me if you can see my screen at the moment?
We can, yes.
Perfect. Then we start with a little video.
So animation can be a bit
So I think Puck just said that the connection is failing a little bit of my side, I'm afraid. In Portugal at the moment. But the animations can be a bit tricky and a bit wobbly, but we will share all the links if you're interested in looking at them afterwards, because it's not the way we usually like to show our animations. So just to tell you how we started actually 2 years ago. We started after a graduation project, and the first thing that we actually decided when we were graduating is that we wanted to graduate with the three of us. That's because we all three have different skills and we would definitely love to connect those. But first of all, as people that study fashion design normally do, we thought we would actually design a physical collection. And while doing research what kind of physical collection that would be, we came to the conclusion over and over again that there is already so much in our industry. And I think we all know that the fashion industry is one of the most polluting industries there is. And overproduction is still a massive problem. So at that moment, we decided we didn't want to contribute in that anymore. So we went to search for alternatives. And we quite quickly came to the conclusion that digitalization could be a part of the solution for mass production. But we noticed that there was one big problem that made it not so common for fashion designers to work digitally. And we're talking about 2.5 years ago now. Right now, we're happy to see that there are a lot more digital fashion designers. But we thought the main problem was actually that in a digital environment, of course, you can't touch things. And as designers, but I think almost every human really loves the feeling of tactility, the feeling of touch, the feeling of fabric. And for that reason, one of our main research questions was and still is, how do we redefine tactility in a digital environment? The next animation that you will see is one out of our graduation project, where we did research into giving like almost human aspects and trigger other senses to let people feel that feeling of tactility. So normally all our animations are with soundscapes as well, but at the moment I hear that they're really soft. So if everybody listens really carefully, you can hear them, but I reckon we almost can't.
It's a good strategy to make everyone be really.
Yeah. Definitely, to look at our links a bit later. So as you see, this fabric almost comes alive, and we think you take that one very important sense away, the sense of touch. So you should trigger other senses. You should work with sound, with vibration, with smell, everything actually you can think of that can replace that feeling and give you a new feeling of tactility. So for our concept, we think it's really important to work interdisciplinary as well, to actually make people experience all those other senses. We need a lot of other people in our team, and we're very happy to work together with a lot of people from games and interaction, musicians, 3D artists, programmers, editors. And by working interdisciplinary and communicating fashion in a completely different way, you also notice that you're going to use different mediums. So we worked with VR, with animations, with augmented reality, with soundscape, and that makes our work always a little bit different than others. So this is a quick picture of how we did research ourselves as well in virtual reality. There's a bit of a joke if anybody can recognize Marilyn here.
Really great lighting.
So next to our own digital fashion design studio, we also do consultancy and production to help others in our industry become more sustainable by digitalization. One of a good example of this is the work we did with Mayem. Mayem is a sustainable raincoat brand based in the Netherlands, and they're having an amazing product, but they're still quite small. And they were actually struggling a bit that most of their customers didn't know they were sustainable, and they didn't know where the raincoats were actually made of. So they asked us to make a visualization of the process of making a raincoat.
It's one of the first animation of us that we had actually like storytelling behind.
Yeah,
True.
Storytelling, and our medium became almost explanatory for textiles. I think that's also why people reacted to it very positively.
Yeah, so as you can see in this video, it was not a very serious way of communicating. It was quite low key. We wanted to make sure that that it was short, that people all noticed it, but that the story was clear. Another example is the work we did with Burberry. We did it for the TB Monogram collection, and they actually asked us before they produced this collection to make their garments in 3D, so they could test case with their customers if people would actually react good to it or not. So we got the tech packs, and we made the garments that didn't exist physically yet, and we dressed famous influencers from Hong Kong up in their garments so they could share it on their website, on their social media, everywhere, and see how people would like it. And we also have a short animation from Burberry.
So I think we should try to probably know that a lot did not really get the fact that these influencers were actually wearing digital garments and they were in it. And some things that we've never met, we got impressed virtually.
So Merla, I was actually wondering, you're most of the time responsible for the pattern making. By the way, I can't see you guys, so that's why I sometimes don't.
We can see you, though. We can see you.
Yeah, let me say something about. We had a lot of questions from people and in the surroundings. We also worked with Adidas, so with Adidas and Burberry, and they asked us, how do you actually make these outfits based on nothing? So sometimes the brands, they will give us a sample so we can like remake it again, like especially how it is in the physical world. But for example, how it was in Burberry, they only giving us tech packs, so that means that you only get like technical drawings, and from that point we could make the digital patterns. But of course, you don't have the actual outfits, so it was a lot of communication inside of the company, and it's a different way of working, and I think it's very interesting how it's building up together. But I think the main important thing is that communication with these brands, it's like most important thing.
Yeah, and I think what also has been a struggle for quite some time when we started collaborating with maybe more commercial brands is that people actually forget the time that it takes to create a virtual garment. It does not necessarily mean that it is way quicker, especially including making an animation or such. I think that's also for us has been a big learning from the past 2 years.
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially when we started, it was not such a common profession to have anyway. So nobody actually knew how long it would take to 3D model a garment. We didn't know, they didn't know. So you really had to find out with those companies how you would actually work and find a nice workflow to actually make it okay for everyone. And that was quite a struggle at the beginning, but I think we managed a bit better right now.
Yeah, one step at a time, one step at a
One
time.
step at a time. So, of course, I told you guys already, we're trying to change the fashion industry and the way we fashion designers behave ourselves in the fashion industry. But to only tackle mass production is not enough. We think you actually have to try to change it from the inside as well. And we think that in addition to the still dominant overproduction, we also really strive for a fashion industry that's less hierarchical, conservative, and less passive towards its audience. One of the projects we did with Frame magazine was kind of a future perspective on how this whole fashion show idea, how this whole hierarchical structure could actually change and how that would look. And Puck, of course, is working a lot on our concepts and on our manifest as well. And I was wondering if you can tell us something about why we think it's so relevant to actually change that whole structure.
Yeah, well, I think maybe as many of also the ones listening now have been experiencing that the fashion industry up until maybe 2 years ago has been very passive and very comfortable in the way that the structure was built up. Like you produce like 6 collections a year. You have like 2 major shows where all the highbrow and elite people attend. They'll sit front row and write raving or very bad reviews. And everything just started all over again, the whole circus. And a lot of people were not really could not really engage in fashion because they didn't get the chance. And what I think with digitization is that it actually in some ways goes back to the core of what fashion could mean. Is like exploring creativity, trying to pinpoint things that are going on in our society, and everyone can watch them and respond to it in maybe a more approachable and fun and light way.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, and in that way you can make it for such a big public. While right now it's only a really small part of our society that actually knows the problems, but also knows the positive things of fashion. So it would be nice to make it a bit broader and a bit more open for everybody. Definitely agree to that. Our first research question, of course, was, like I said before, how do we redefine tactility in a digital world? But while doing our project, we mostly noticed that our work still stays on screens, so it still stays quite flat. And we think that because of it stays quite flat, a lot of people can't really get the feeling of something real, and they don't really see how it should be integrated in real life. And that's why our next research question now is, how do we bridge that gap? How do we bridge the gap between the physical and the digital? One of the first projects we did with Adidas was a good example of that, because we made an animation with Adidas that completely consisted out of physical and digital things. And first of all, we worked together with an amazing team, an interdisciplinary team from all over the world. So you had people from America in there, from Hong Kong, and then us from the Netherlands. And that was already a really cool experience to see how we get that workflow running and all contribute something. And then next to that, I think it's really interesting in this animation that you sometimes can't even notice what's real anymore and what isn't. And by merging the digital and the physical in that way, people can see that in this society, we can no longer do without the digital. We should integrate it in a pleasant way for everyone. Also, amazing background music at this one, but nobody will hear it now. And another project we did to actually bridge that gap between the physical and the digital is the work we did for Dutch Design Week 2019. It was called A Parallel Existence, and it was in collaboration with Frame Magazine and Bolon. Bolon is a sustainable flooring company. And we thought, okay, what can we do to make people realize that you can integrate digital in the physical? And we always work innovative as well, so we wanted to try new media. And that's why we worked with augmented reality, and we made an augmented reality app, and people could download this app. I will just show you a quick video of the project. So in this slide, you actually see how the physical space looked. The physical space had these markers, these strange patterns spread all over the space, and people could actually wander through the space. And by using their cell phone, which they had the app on, they could scan the markers and actually see 3D fashion appearing. And we thought this was a really good connection of people having a device that they use all day, every day, most of the time, to experience digital fashion, so it could feel a bit closer to their own experience. Another example of combining the physical and the digital is the Sense of Presence campaign. And we actually started this one because of the Corona crisis, because we noticed that we ourselves, of course, struggled with everything that happened, but a lot of people surrounding us, a lot of other designers and a lot of people that made music, that made movies, that did photo shoots, actually could not do their profession anymore. And to make sure that people would see digitalization as a possibility, we started this campaign where we dressed up famous models, influencers, and friends of ours in our garments and offer our services as well to actually help people do digital photo shoots or animations. And I think this is a good bridge as well to talk a little bit about what the crisis meant for us, because I noticed, for instance, that a lot of people came to me and actually asked me if something changed for me, because I work digitally already and I work behind my computer most of the time. So did there actually change something for us? And I was wondering, Luke and Merla, how you actually experienced that. Did much change for you guys, or?
Well, I think for us in matters of Studio PMS, it was quite interesting to see how, what Marilyn mentioned earlier, that people were very afraid and unfamiliar with the feeling of working digitally. And well, I think we all experienced it at one point, like multinational companies started approaching us who are usually very drawn to the fast fashion way of working. And they suddenly wanted us to help to collaborate with them, which was kind of a, well, weird feeling for us. But you see that sometimes when there are circumstances when people have no other choice, they suddenly jump on that bandwagon. So in some ways, I think we were really enthusiastic because a lot of people were approaching us in this time. But it also helped us to really to select, like, do people actually change their mindsets? Is it because of the right reason that they want to collaborate?
Yeah, definitely.
That's good that it's just starting now, and even with the corona, I mean, you see there's now a big difference between it. They accept it more often, and what you said, yeah, we hope it's for the good reasons.
Yeah.
But for us and for a lot of other people, we hope it's going to be continued like this. So yeah.
Yeah. By the way, guys, because I stopped sharing my screen, I can finally see you.
Oh.
Familiar faces. So I don't know if there were some questions out of the audience as well that I skipped because I couldn't see you guys, or. But anyway, I think as well. I think it's really important as well that this got pushed a little bit, and with something like Helsinki Fashion Week, what we're having right now, they were already planning on having a digital part in their Fashion Week, but now because of the whole situation, it is so much more relevant to actually have a completely digital Fashion Week, and we needed that push for a long time, and we hope it will continue on going on. And I hope people now finally realize how you can integrate digitalization.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Yeah, we'll see. I think we have some time ahead of us to see how this develops, also during COVID.
Yeah, definitely.
Going on. I don't know how we're time-wise, but we are actually now wanting to introduce one of our friends and also someone that we've been working with for quite some time. His name is David Willems.
Yeah, I just wanted to say bye then, because it means I'm gonna leave the Skype. Thank you so much for listening to my short presentation, and thank you, girls. Go on, take it away.
Have a great day in Portugal, darling.
Hey, David.
David, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly fine.
Perfectly
Hello, ladies. How are you doing?
Well, we're doing quite all right. I hope technically tomorrow is going to be better, but I think...
Yeah, I was silently in the room for a while, but now I'm here for sure.
I was here all along. You guys just couldn't see.
Well, a bit.
Well, David, I think it might be nice to give yourself a bit of an introduction about what you do and how you started off.
Yes, yeah, it started off basically as a general design freelance career, but I always wanted to go kind of into the direction of creative 3D design. And I've been developing that along the way, and actually nowadays I fully focus on 3D. Yeah, like looking at fashion, I think around a year ago I helped the students graduating in virtual fashion project, and for me it was then very new. I didn't really hear of it before, and yeah, then I thought this is a very interesting world. Like there's so much to gain from it, and I mean it's nice to be creative and do a lot of things with 3D, but sometimes you miss kind of a purpose. Like it mounts very quickly into just a marketing promotional video, for example, but with fashion, I really have the feeling that it's an actual movement and that it can actually change things for the better.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, we are just, I just saw that we have like 5 minutes left, unfortunately. So I just thought it might be nice to ask a couple of questions to you,
Yes,
Dave.
of course.
What do you think is very significant between the fashion and the 3D world now colliding more and more?
What's significant?
Yeah.
Well,
what's your experience or opinion on that, and how do you think that will develop?
Well, I think it's becoming more and more of a way to express yourself online or have a digital identity. At least that's the way I hope it's going. And I think that's also the most useful way of using it, actually, without going back to the sustainable topic, wasting too many resources on it, that you can still express yourself. And then another level on top of it is that, for me, why I started with 3D as well, is that you can create a world that's beyond our current world, or it can augment your current world. So the possibilities are way greater than real life, let's say.
Yeah, I think so. And how do you believe that, for instance, the physical world will that be just as important, or do you think, because those two things between physical and virtual are now suddenly starting to merge, but what do you think will be the value of something physical?
I think the value of something physical is still definitely there. Like, we're human beings, we need to interact with each other, we need to grab things, we need to interact. Of course, you can, to a certain degree, translate that into the digital world, like you have VR now and AR and stuff like that. But I think also during the Corona crisis, I kind of came to the conclusion that although we can survive online and interact that way, there's definitely a part that you're missing in your life, and just to explore the real world out there and just back off from the screen for a while. So yeah, again, I think the digital world should be something that enhances the real life, but not take it over.
I think that we just received a question from the audience. Might also be nice for you to answer on that.
All right.
It says, what do we guys think about the Helsinki Fashion Week Digital Village concept?
I think it's a very cool way of letting both disciplines meet together, because I think there's a lot of 3D artists out there that are very talented. Yeah. But like I said, the thing I like about virtual fashion is that, yeah, there's something meaningful behind it. You can actually make a change, and I think a fashion week like this can really, spark new concepts, new innovative ideas, and future collaborations without it being a competition, basically, because that's what I'm also sometimes afraid of, that it's just a show off, but we're actually trying to build something here.
Yeah, it actually being constructive instead of this whole competitive mindset that has been there for a while. Yeah. I think we all just need to keep that mindset in whatever we do, and whatever collaboration might be there in the future.
Yes, sure.
Start the digital village. So let's see. And so we're very happy that we could have this Skype with you and with Susan earlier. Yeah. I think we have to round up again.
Yes. All right. Thanks for inviting me.
Also, audience, thank you very much for listening. And
well, thank you guys, and we'll be here tomorrow as well with our collaboration with Oxen, and we'll talk a bit on that topic. So if you thought this was fun, well, you're in for a ride tomorrow. And have a nice day, and maybe we'll be in touch. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care.